Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shinaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Bowman spins.
Stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 ways down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The captain riders collide.
Tomek to the inside.
Got a win to Brazil. Absolutely sensational.
Tracks. Biased, yes. Apologetic, not in the slightest. It is the wonderful home of British motorsport. It's Silverstone.
And of course my microphone was not on because for some reason OBS just decided no, you're not gonna work. It was working when I was testing it earlier today, and it's just it's just gone away from me. Big apologies, everybody, but I guess we can start that one again. We are here for round number 5 of season 13 at Silverstone, and Lucas Blakely is in very, very fine form at the moment with 3 wins in 4 rounds. Can he make it 4 and 5 today? We'll have to find out. And Chris, I've already asked for how you are tonight, but let's go again. How are you feeling today?
I'll try again. Melting in the heat because I'm not built for warm weather. But really, really pleased to be back in the WOR box and talking about one of my favourite circuits in the world. Biased, certainly. Apologetic, not at all. It is the home of British motorsport. It's Silverstone.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic circuit. Of course, the first ever Formula One Championship Grand Prix was held here all the way back in 1950, and it's safe to say that Formula One has come a long, long way since then, and it makes for a fantastic league race. And what is a fantastic track without a fantastic grid? I'll read out our grid that we have here today because it is completely stacked. We have in the Mercedes Jarno and Danny Moreno, but Moreno is not racing today. We have someone else coming in for him. It was a last minute change, unfortunately. We've got Red Bull with Marcel Keefer making his WOR debut. He's being joined alongside Liam Parnell, that is. Ferrari is Alfie Butcher and Alessio Di Capua. Then we've got Ruben Pedreño, I believe, alongside our championship leader today, Lucas Blakely, in that McLaren. Alpine is Luke Smith and Philip Preschnader. Then Aston Martin is Simon Perronier and then Jake Benham. I think that's Jake Benham. Who other Jake would it be?
Jake is in the Merc.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So that would make sense. Of course, Jake was in the Merc before Danny Moreno would come in. But now that Danny is not here today, he's going to be retaking that seat. The Williams team is Alvaro Carreton and Jack West. The familiar Alfa Romeo drivers of Nicolas Longuet and Tomek Parajic. And then the two Haas drivers of Piotr Stahelek and Matthijs van Erven. Fantastic. An incredible grid that we have here today, Chris, and I'm really excited to see them in action.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So many names that we all know from the very top flight of F1 esports. At long last, I get to talk about Nicolas Longuet. So many times I've come to a race that he should be in. For whatever reason, he's not been there. At long last, I get to talk about the mighty Frenchman. He's going to be in the Alfa Romeo alongside Parajic. Yeah, we've seen these names rising through the ranks. All 20 drivers are in the lobby just waiting for the lobby to get underway now. And yeah, it's going to be very hard to know where to look to see where the top results are going to come from. I think we have no Ron Haar, do we?
No, he's on holiday at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, so he's missed. This will be the third round in a row he's missed. He's 54 points behind the mighty Blakely, and he's got 45 on the board. So he'd have to over double his points tally to even get close to Lucas Blakely. So the McLaren absolutely running away with top honors. That being said, we've seen Jake Benham in the Mercedes, taking 2 podiums already this season, 2 second places at rounds 1 and 3. So there's Austria and Miami. Who else has been on the podium? Jarno, of course, but only on the podium once. So we've said before that Jarno seems to be taking a while to get up to speed. But something that Brendan Lee said in PSGL earlier in the week, that a lot of these drivers use this as a grounding for F1 esports. So Jarno could well be saving his best for there.
Absolutely, and I hope that come F1 esports time, we can see all of these drivers that we have on the WOR grid scrapping it out at full potential for the F1 esports crown. We're about to get ready for 3-peat qualifying Q1, Q2 and Q3. But before we do that, let's just have a quick look at our results from last week. It is Lucas Blakely taking the win in Australia with Tom Manley in second and Danny Moreno getting third place, the final spot on the podium. Luke Smith ended up fourth, and then Jarno Opmeer was fifth, and then British F4 driver Joseph Loka, fantastic race from him. He came in sixth, and then Ruben Pedreño finished in seventh alongside Simon Perronier in eighth. Ninth for Ikebaña, and then Andrei Tarabukin rounded out the top 10, and we'll see how that affected our championship standings. As previously mentioned, Lucas Blakely is romping away at the top of the order with 99 points. Of course, that includes 3 wins, a second place, and then some sprint race points as well. So I believe, got 6 in the Bahrain sprint race. Thomas Ronhaar is in second with 45 points, and Jake Benham is just 3 points shy on 42. Nicolas Longuet on 30 points, and then Jarno Opmeer on 27. Tom Manley with that podium yesterday bumps him up to 22, and he's just 2 points ahead of Ruben Pedreño. Alfie Butcher on 19 alongside Tomek Parajic, and then Luke Smith rounding out the top 10. But now, Chris, here we are getting ready to go trackside, and let's look at what we've got here. Nice and sunny in Silverstone.
Yeah, I've got a complaint to make. I mean, it's Britain and it's not raining. I'm sorry, this isn't realistic. Saying that, when I was there in 2018, it was offensively hot, and I was very, very badly burnt, I will say, which you could argue is my own fault. However, that's the nature of the business, yeah, no one's moved. Oh, well, big about now we've got people moving. Alessio Di Capua has parked it. That's a quali ban, isn't it? That,
yes.
Alessio said, and yes, he thought it was. It's Luke Smith and Piotr Stahelek that are first to break cover. And as is traditional for Top Flight League racing, they've come out on intermediate tyres.
Yeah, despite the fact that we are in bone-dry conditions here at the Silverstone circuit, the drivers opt to use the wet compound of tyre, in this case the intermediate, in their not very optimal conditions. And that is of course just so they can make sure that they've got all the wheels sorted and there's no problems with the setup and they're not burning a set of tyres whilst doing that. So typically in Q1, when it comes to these three-peat qualifyings, we don't see everyone at the start of Q1 going for it. But I guess this is good timing to have a look at some of the signage that we can see, and we're actually at a terrible part of the track for it because we don't see any of the WOR sponsorship riding on board with Luke Smith. But I'd imagine once we get underneath the gantry, headed down the hangar straight, there you can see the WOR logo splattered all beautifully around. And I believe this is the work of Josh Merrin. I hope I got the name right, but it is really lovely to look at.
Absolutely superb stuff, and why the devil not? So Luke Smith then coming down to Vale and into the club chicane to start his first air quotes time lap, as still not many people have come out. A lot of people still in the pit, not wanting to come out too early. So Luke Smith has started his first time lap. Starlek is the next one down the road. Then it's one of the Alphas. It's Parajic to come out to play. The only one that's come out on soft tyres is actually Jack West in the Williams. He is, where is he? He's at Luffield. So, oh no, beg your pardon. Never mind. He is actually on intermediate tyres as well. So, my mistake. So, yeah, everybody that's out there is on inters at the moment. I'm getting a bit of stuttering in my game. Hopefully, you're not getting that your side. The stream will look glorious in its best presentation, but at the moment it is not a lot to talk about because most people are sitting still.
Yeah, I mean, this is really just typical with the start of Q1. It is a long session. It's the longest of the bunch, but they use the least amount of time for it, which is quite ironic. As we're just watching Luke Smith at the moment, I have spotted Carter Lundy out on a set of the soft compound of tyre, but he's only on his outlap. He's actually just ahead on the road ahead of Luke Smith, so we'll keep an eye out for the Aston Martin driver. But opening up the DRS now and headed down the hangar straight, a popular place for overtakes in towards Stowe Corner. We're going to see a lot of action down there today as he heads through that complex and in towards the Vale chicane. We'll see what his banker time is. Not going to be competitive, everyone, given that he's on a set of the intermediates, just so he doesn't burn off a set of the softs on his banker to come across the line, and it's a 1 minute 31.042.
Yeah, not a lot you can read into that at the moment with a 31.121 from Staholek, as Carter Lundy then is started his first lap, so he'll have a little bit of traffic to weave around, but nothing too dramatic as he's heading down now towards the village, the first braking zone of the lap, and sweeps over to the right-hand side for the loop, and then gradually squeezes the throttle on the tail, getting a little bit unhappy coming out of Aintree, as Simon Perroni now gets a 31 on the board along with Parajic, so 3 31s on the board at the moment. Now into Luffield. Hug that inside line, keep the car from wandering too wide until that particular moment, flooring the throttle. Again, the tail of that Aston Martin just seems to be dancing all over the place for Carter Lundy at the moment. Screaming down towards Cops, who would, no, it was right, Cops. I doubted myself then as soon as I said it. He's got someone ahead of him, and that's an invalid lap from the Aston Martin. As he comes through Magnussen Beckett, he'll back that one off and have to do the process all over again.
Not a great attempt from Carter Lundy, just riding ever so slightly wide at Cops Corner, and that's his lap in the bin. He's not allowed to keep this one. He probably going to peel off into the pit lane, as is Luke Smith in front. And Carter Lundy, I think he might be going again here. Interesting enough to go for a second lap on a set of the softs, but he's got some temperature in them, and he still has some battery, so he can get this one done. It was a 27 minute, 1 minute 27, which of course is not a very competitive time by any stretch of the means when it comes to this F1 esports caliber grid. but we'll see what he can do. He's still a good few seconds clear of the intermediate runners, as you would expect, but through the loop now and on towards this short straight, the Wellington Straight, headed underneath the season 13 gantry and in towards Brooklands, braking late at the 50-metre board, swinging it in for this left and then riding it over to the right hand side of the circuit for the slow, long-winded right-hander of Luffield. And oh dear, very unsettled off the exit there. It's very tricky on the traction is Luffield, but Carter-Lundy basically was drifting through that part, and I believe his lap is not going well at all, and he's run wide once again at Copse, and that is his lap again down the drain.
It's very, very easy to do. It's almost flat through there, so you want to be maximizing your exit speed because you carry a lot of that speed into Magnus because you do bleed a little bit off, but you want to be going through that section as quickly as you can. So it's very, very tempting just to go that little bit too deep into Copse and bin the lap. And oh my goodness me, round goes that Aston. That is an unhappy car. He's been really struggling with that. Whatever he needs to change, it looks like it needs to be fairly dramatic. Does the Canadian. So in he comes. And we have got literally nobody to talk about now, as that's the last car that was doing anything. As Carter comes around the corner, nope, the only pit crew that's moved, I think, is his own. So yeah. No one is willing to come out and play.
Yeah, we've only got 10 minutes left in Q1 here, so I guess I can turn some attention to the live chat at the moment. Let us know where in the world you are watching from. I think it'd be very interesting to know sort of where all our viewers are located. Both myself and Chris are in the United Kingdom, and that is the same for where we are today, as I believe we've got Piotr Stahalek, the Polish driver, headed out on circuit, and Carter-Lundy says in the live chat, says that he did that on purpose, by the way. I think it was actually, because he did a perfect 360 there. It was quite interesting to see. Let's see what everyone in the live chat is saying. We've got Aurora Shaggy 653 saying that he's from England. We've got Zenivius from Germany. We've got some Indian people. We've got Why You Mad Bro from the USA. We've got the F1 Enthusiast from Bahrain. I'm seeing Iran. I'm seeing Greece, South Florida, Norway, Australia. I mean, it's like 7 in the morning in Australia, and Chris, it is wonderful to see that League Racing has got such a worldwide reach at the moment, and it's uniting everyone today, and I'm seeing so many more countries. I really do love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, again, WOR, the W is world, so, we're living up to the name, as now we're seeing everybody. Except the only person that hasn't moved, as far as I can see, is Alfie Butcher. Has Tom Man? Yeah, Tom's moved. So only one. Oh no, Alfie's now just coming out. So the only car that hasn't moved is Alessia De Capo, because he has retired the car due to having a qualifying ban. Now we start to get the business underway. But the one that's going to have potentially a lot of traffic to deal with is, he might be lucky actually, is Piotr Stahalek, the Polish driver, just coming through to start his first time lap.
So we'll see what he can do as he gets away around this circuit here in Silverstone, the first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix held here, and they're laying their mark still in 2022, is headed now in towards the first sector. Piotr Stahalek using the extremities of the circuit, scrubbing the minimum speed off at all points as he goes through the loop and on towards the Wellington Straight. DRS open for the Haas driver now. We'll see what speeds he reaches to, in excess of up to 200 kilometers per hour at the miles per hour at the braking zone. Extreme speeds around this circuit, now headed in towards Luffield and on towards the National Pit Straight, where they formerly started the British Grand Prix before it was changed in, I believe, 2011. Headed down towards Copse Corner, where Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton had their almighty crash in 2021, and he gets through that very nicely indeed towards now the infamous Maggots and Beckett's complex of corners, flinging the car at high speeds in a series of lefts and rights, and down towards Chapel now to open up the DRS and onto the Hangar Straight, taking the tightest line off the exit of Chapel there, now headed screaming towards Stowe Corner, braking at the 50-metre mark and then filing the car through here. Now he's going to have to slow down, heavy braking in towards Vale, and here it is towards the end of his lap. He's looked very convincing on this run. Has Piotr Stahalek the first representative lap time of the day coming out now, and it's a 1 minute 26.962.
There we go. That's a bit more like it. You were spot on. 2011 was the first year that we had the start line in the position where it now is. So 2010 was the last time that the start-finish line was located just after Woodcote. You're spot on there, Mr. Field. Who's next? It's Paragic with a 26.838 on the board for the Alfa Romeo. Next over the line is Preschneider, Philip Preschneider over the line with a 27.04, and Jarno Opmeer with a 26.7 as a definite marker laid down. Blakely 26.795, so half a tenth behind the Flying Dutchman. Then Longuet 26.801. They're coming in thick and fast now. Who's next? Pyrenees set a lap somewhere with 27.205. Pedreño 27.0. Luke Smith at 26.9. They're coming in quicker than I can read them. Jake Benham at 26.0. There's Carter 27.1. Excuse me. Who's next? Liam Parnell with a 27.265. Who's next? That'll be Tom Manley, fifth with a 26.893. Now Alfie Butcher, fifth as well, 26.851. So that is everybody that was out there on a time lap. And now the pecking order starts to form.
Yep, and that was all in the space of about 2 minutes, where we had about 5 laps on the board, and they were all on a set of the intermediate tyre. And now we've seen 16 runners out on track. We've not seen laps from Alvaro Carreton, Matthijs van Erven and Will Lewis. And then Alessio De Capra, of course, serving that qualifying ban. But your running order at the moment is Jarno Opmeer, a driver who is obviously one of the biggest names on the grid, if not the biggest, and he's struggled for form in recent weeks in the likes of PSGL and WOR, but it's good to see him back at the top. He is not too far ahead though of our championship leader Lucas Blakely. He's won 3 races in 4 rounds so far this season. Incredible stuff from the Scotsman. They've got season 12 champion Nicolas Longuet in third, and season 12 championship rival Tomek Paragic, and then the 2 young guns of Alfie Butcher and Tom Manley in the top 6, and then Marcel Kiefer making his debut in 7th. The running order is all over the shop at the moment, but it is wonderful to see that we've got such a competitive grid at this moment in time. Your current bottom 5 is Liam Parnell, Alvaro Carreton, Alessio De Capra, Matthijs van Erven and Will Lewis, but we do have the Spaniard Alvaro out on circuit, yet to set a lap time, and it would be a big loss if we saw the Spaniard exiting in Q1.
Yes, as a reminder, it's the 3-phase qualifying for this session, so this will dismiss 5 of our runners. 1 is already decided, of course, with Alessio De Capra, as Alvaro Carreton is just coming through the club chicane now to start what will be his next attempt at a time lap. Yet to get one on the board, along with Matthijs van Erven and Will Lewis. Longuet has parked it with a 26.8, and Paragic is done the same. I'd say that's fair enough. You're looking at 26.9 as a bare minimum to feel anywhere near safe. Even Stowlek has come back out, and he's on a 26.962 in 9th place. So Matthijs van Erven and Will Lewis are out on track as well to try and elevate themselves out of the dreaded drop zone. Liam Parnell will need to do another lap. 27.265 only sees him in 16th position at this stage. Purple sector 1 for the Spaniard in the Williams then, as he is now coming out of Woodcote down towards Copse. What is he able to do? He's being chased by one of the Haas. I'm assuming that's there could actually be either of them. Is that Van Erven? Yes, it's Matthijs van Erven that's kind of chasing Alvaro Carreton through Magnus and Beckett then for the Spaniard. What can he get on the board as we continue to watch the lap? A little bit squiggly. I think that's kind of my screen that's going a bit nuts on the exit of Church into Stowe. What can he get on the board? Then keeps it nice and steady. And now down towards the club chicane for this timed lap. This might be the last opportunity. It kind of depends how quickly he gets back to the pits if he wants another go. What can Alvaro Carreton do? It's 4th at 26.804.
I think he'll be safe with that one there. He splits the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers, and he's only 3 thousandths off of Nicolas Longuet. A great time from Alvaro Carreton should hopefully see him into the final part, or the second part of qualifying, and inside that top 15 place that he needs, we have the Haas driver of Van Erven up first in his lovely white car on towards the Wellington Straight. He's yet to set a lap time in this session. If he doesn't, he'll be eliminated and starting at best in 19th position. Alessio De Capua, of course, we've already seen him retire due to a qualifying ban. As Blakely also retired, he feels confident, and I would be confident if I were him as well. But here we are watching Van Erven. He's already backed off on this one. It's not looking too convincing from him so far today. We do have Piotr Stahelek on a timed run though, and he's a 10th up on his previous best, and this could see him around about where Alfie Butcher is at the moment. If he finds even more time in this second and third sector, he could be way up along with Jan Ortmeier and Lucas Blake. We'll wait and see. We've already been following with Piotr so far this session, and he's been convincing. He's looked fast around this track. I mean, they're all looking quite fast, but Piotr has been very special, and he's up by a quarter of a second on his previous best. We actually could see him shooting right to the top of this qualifying order as here he goes in towards Stowe Corner now, and off the exit here, slight snap of the steering, but it shouldn't scrub off too much time for the Polish driver. In towards Vale and out through Club Corner now. We'll see what time emerges from Piotr Stahelek as he comes to cross the line, and there it is to the top of the order. A great run from him there. Let's watch Marcel Kiefer as he heads through the final parts of this lap. Van Erven's just got going once again. Jack West slots himself into 6th. Here is Marcel making his WOR debut today as he heads through Club Corner now and to cross the line. There it is, the first 1 minute 26.6 of the day. A great time from the German.
Well played indeed. His teammate Liam Parnell, his time of 27.265 was matched by Will Lewis. So Will is out of it. He's already done a lap. And where is Will? He may well have started another one, but if that's the case, he's already taken the best out of his time. Liam Parnell is just shy of 2/10 up on his best. This will potentially get him out of the bottom 15. That's most of the field. Bottom 5 for now. So Jake Benham up into second, the 26.669. Jarno is done. Alvaro Carreton is done. Carter Lundy's in the pits. Pirani has just knocked Carter Lundy out of the top 5, and so is Liam Parnell. Liam Parnell's just taken both Aston Martins out of it as he goes up into 12th place. So that looks like we're losing Van Erven, Lewis,
Van Erven's
Lundy,
still going. He's on another
he's
lap.
Still going.
Headed through now.
Of course, he only did a 42, didn't he? Yes, good point. Can Matthias Van Erven get himself out of trouble? He can. So that is that knocks Pedreño out of the running. Preschneider retires the car, having just squeaked through by 0.04 of a second.
So your eliminated drivers here today are Ruben Pedreño, Simon Perrinier, Carter Lundy, Will Lewis, and then Alessio De Capua serving his qualifying ban. It is Marcel Kiefer in the Red Bull at the very top of the order in Q1. A great time from him there. Jake Benham was able to get a run in towards second, and then Piotr Stahelek ended up in third, just 200s ahead of Jarno Ortmeier, who set his time quite a bit earlier on in the session, so he didn't even have the best track conditions, but he was still just shy of a 10th off the back of the very top spot. Great conviction there from Jarno. Championship leader Lucas Blakely in 5th, and then Nicholas Longuet in 6th. And I think we'll get the rest of the running order once Marcel Kiefer's car gets serviced, because we're just waiting for him now. But I think one thing I actually have to ask at the moment is if we're doing a formation lap, because in PSGL this week we didn't have a formation lap, and that was a very stressful situation. And I think, Chris, we need to know if we're doing one today.
It would certainly help. Now, I confess I didn't spot in the settings before we went live, but yeah, that caught me by surprise as well, in fairness.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get some confirmation in the live chat from one of our admins, but let's have another rundown of the qualifying order. Marcel Kiefer on top in Q1. Jake Benham is in second, third for Piotr Stahelek, and then Jan Ortmeier in 4th. Lucas Blakely 5th, and the season 12 championship champion in 6th. Carroton ended up 7th, and Luke Smith in 8th, Jack West 9th, and Paragus rounding out the top 10. Alfie Butcher 11th, Parnell 12th, Tom Manley in 13th, Van Erven has got through into Q2, and then Philip Presnader just squeaked on by. Pedreño, Perrier, Lundy and Lewis all out in this early session. Disappointing to see them go, and apologies, I've pulled up the there we go. I've pulled up the standings because I went back to the intermission scene, but you've got us on your screens now, and we can talk about that Q1 session. And so far, it looks like Marcel Kiefer is in a very strong spot.
Yeah, great way to stamp your authority on a league you've just started. Bit of a surprise there from Pedreño. He's in 6th in the championship, so regular point scorer, other than the round that he missed in Bahrain. But yeah, a bit of a surprise from him. Plenty of things can still happen. We're now into Q2, and Alfie Butcher, actually several drivers, have broken cover very quickly. So I was riding on board with Alfie as my game kicked in. So I thought he was the first one out, but no, at all. It is actually both Alphas have broken cover first. Paragic ahead of Longue. It looks like 6 cars have come out straight away. Curious decision. It's still big, bold blue skies up top, so doesn't look like we're looking at any weather. So I'm a little surprised that many people have pulled the trigger that quickly. But the further into qualifying we get, the more the pace ramps up.
We are typically in Q2 at the very beginning of the session going to see drivers on a scrub set of tyres, so they won't be as fast initially as their Q1 times, but as the session carries on and drivers strap on a fresh set of tyres, then they should be in they should be going quicker than what we saw in the first session. I'm not going to have any detail on the screen because they're all going to be on the softs. Of course, there's no incentive anymore to actually try and qualify in Q2 on a set of the mediums, given the fact that you have free tyre choice inside the top 10 once the race gets underway. And of course, that was not the case last season, so drivers would try and go into Q3 on a set of the mediums, get inside that top 10, they start on that set and have the strategical advantage, or just try and qualify 11th position. As now in towards the start of his run, Tomek Paragic is going to get us underway in Q2.
That he is. Where are you? There you are. Into Abbey then for the first time in anger in this run. Let's see what the Alfa Romeo driver can do. Hugs the apex line then for Village, now sweeps through loop and then sets himself up to swing through Aintree without worrying too much about scrubbing any speed off. Wellington Straight under the season 13 banner and then into Brooklands. This area becomes a lovely sound box for these engines. Everything sounds much louder than it ought to. It's absolutely glorious. Through Luffield then, heavy on the right foot, sweep through Woodcut as if it doesn't exist. And then a very slight lift coming through Copse, and just a quick flick down of one gear, and then back on the right on the loud pedal, screaming towards Maggot and Beckett's, one of the most famous corner combinations in the world. Now Chapel onto the Hanger Straight, under the banner once more, and then screaming towards Stowe, down at 2 gears, and just scrubbing a bit of speed off. Not as more than they'd like, and probably not as much as they should, but they managed to hang on to it. Now into the Vale chicane. Club chicane, beg your pardon. Through Vale, now Club chicane. And what does Paragic get onto the board? It is, if the start line comes up quickly, it's a 27-0. So we're about 6/10 off of the very best of Q1. And I'm expecting a 26, certainly a 26.5 to come out before the checker flag. Will we see a 26.4? We will see. Matteo Zerving gets a 27.4, 27.073. Alfie Butcher in the Ferrari.
Yep, so we typically do see drivers on a scrub set of the tyres, and that's why the runs that we're seeing are a little bit slower. And I'm seeing that people are complaining about the audio issues. That is unfortunately a game bug, and it's just something we're going to have to put up. If we go back to Bahrain earlier on in the season, that was probably the most unbearable it's ever been. But it's unfortunately an issue that Codemasters are yet to fix, and hopefully in coming patches the sound glitches will be saved. And I also saw that we are not having a formation lap which is good to know, because last time we didn't, and we almost missed the start of the race, but we were just able to get in there. So once we end Q3, it's going to be straight into the action. And that means drivers are going to be starting on colder sets of tyres. And Chris, that's going to make for some carnage early on.
It's certainly a challenge. I'm on board with Luke Smith on his time lap, and he's got a couple of cars ahead of him that I'm trying to identify. I don't think they are on time laps. So they're either already done them, or they are... well, they must have already done them, actually, just looking at who's ahead of him. So Luke Smith then coming through Beckett and into Chapel. The traffic ahead of him is not close enough to cause too much of a bother. He hangs on to the right-hand side and then just uses the curve of the track to then position him to the left-hand side. Nicely done. Whoever it was that just jumped onto the outside line of Stowe. And now straight into the pits for Luke Smith. Did not complete that lap.
No time on the board then for Luke Smith. We've only seen 6 laps coming out. It is Alfie Butcher, quickest of the bunch at the moment. Tomek Parajic in second. They're the only 2 drivers on a 1:27 flat. Tom Manley is in third, and he's about 3/10 ahead of Matthijs van Erven. Philip Presneder's 5th, and then last of the runners to set laps is Jack West with 1:27.947. But we are going to see some more laps coming out, because we're watching Jake Benham on his outlap, scrappily going through Maggots and Beckett and Chapel. But we'll see what the young Englishman can get in. He was meant to drive for the Aston Martin team today, but Danny Moreno dropping out, unfortunately. Jake was brought back into the Mercedes, and then Carter Lundy took that Aston Martin seat. But Jake is certainly a driver that I think he fits the Mercedes well. And of course, if you've been keeping up with Jake and Jarno's co-op career mode, they do drive the Mercedes. If I think they're in the Mercedes. I haven't been watching in recent weeks, but I do believe they're in the Merc. So I think, Chris, it does suit Jake well to be back in this seat.
Absolutely so, as he sets himself up for another run. He's just coming down towards the loop now and to sweep through Aintree. A little bit of traffic in front and behind, but nothing he should be worrying about too much. The only other car on a time lap is Marcel Kiefer, debutant in this series from Germany, as he himself just coming into the village for the next time in anger. And everybody except Luke Smith is out on track. Luke is in the Alpines, just leaving the pit lane now. So very, very busy track at this point. Has everybody managed to find their own bit of space? We will see if that is the case. And Marcel, purple sector 1, but again, can't read too much into that just yet, with half the session still remaining. Jake Benham then's just coming out of Beckett and into Chapel now, as he screams on down now. He stays more to the left-hand side, or did on this occasion, of the hanger straight than we saw from Luke Smith before. I would imagine the quicker way of doing it is to wander over to the right-hand side, but I can't imagine there's a huge amount of difference, because you're not losing a lot of speed, or shouldn't be losing a lot of speed out of Chapel from Beckett anyway. Through the last couple of turns for Jake Benham. What does he get on the board? It's a 27.133 that currently sees him into third position. Marcel is just coming through Stowe and had to bail, as he had an Aaron Williams, I think that was, right ahead of him. He's going to complete the lap, but his lap was most certainly compromised.
Real shame then for Marcel Keefer. We'll see what he can do by the end of it. Still 5th place for him. That's a place inside the top 10. Let's see who's up next. We've got Peter Stahalek. That's more like it, in a 1:26.849. Let's see Jarno Opmeer on his run. We've not really watched too much of the Dutchman so far this session, but he was in 4th place with a time that was a lot earlier than what the final runs were, and so he didn't get the best of track evolution. We do need to watch out for the Dutchman today, seeming like he's finally found his form of past. Of course, a 2-time F1 Esports champion in the row, looking for the three-peat this year and do what Brendan Lee could not when he was a 2-time champ. Will that curse remain, as Liam Parnell sets a fantastic lap of 1:26.6, but Jarno Opmeer does him one better and goes ahead by just about 21 thousandths of a second ahead. That was fantastic.
21 seconds? Where are you, Lamont?
Oh, Lucas Blakely, though. He's up massively on his lap. Wow!
Oh, I said we'll see a 26.4. I was kind of thinking that would be Q3. But no, the Scotsman, Spacey said, hold my haggis, and there it is. Struth alive. Anything you can do, I can do better. Looking at the champion then, Longuet coming through the club chicane for this time lap attempt. What can you do? 5.5 minutes on the board, still left on the timer.
Oh.
It's a 26.4 as well. 26.483 from the Frenchman. 26.451 from Canton. 0.004 of a second separate the top two.
Oh, it's class. I mean, these guys are really bringing their A game today. I mean, Lucas...
Manley a 26.492, so that's 4 drivers now in the 26.4s.
Wow. Incredibly close. Once again in PSGL, like they always... I said PSGL in WOR, like they always do. I mean, I'm getting mixed up. The grids are so similar, and we've been doing them in recent weeks all together, so I'm getting mixed up. You can't blame me there, unfortunately. But yeah, WOR always bringing the class and the style that the drivers have with it. At the moment, in the final part of Q2, Lucas Blakely leading the way, Alvaro Carreton in second. Third for Nicholas Longuet. Your bottom 5 at the moment is Piotr Stahalek, Jack West, Alfie Butcher, Jake Benham, and Marcel Kiefer. We know that Alfie Butcher set his time on a scrub set of the tyres. Jake Benham, I believe, did the same, and Marcel Kiefer was impeded. So you have to think that those 3 will improve, and that puts Tomek Paradzic and Matthijs van Erven and Philip Presnod actually as well in a bit of a danger zone here. So even though they're inside the top 10 at the moment, they are by no means safe.
You're going to need to be in a 26.5 to even remotely feel comfortable, which, again, just godlike pace from anybody. So everybody now is sort of feeding their way back into the pit. Coming back out is one of the Haas drivers. Which one is it? I'm assuming it's Starlek. Yes, it is. So currently 11th position at 26.849 on the board, which was still fairly decent. He's come straight back out, fresh set of soft tyres strapped onto the Haas. He's got the track to himself at the moment, but that does potentially set him up for not necessarily a fall, but he's going to have a face full of traffic by the time he's done his outlap. Everybody else will be coming out for what I always call the Banzai phase. We're going to be in the final 3 minutes very, very shortly, which generally causes everybody to come out onto track for one last attempt. And if Stahalek's not careful, he will have just a face full of people on their outlaps.
Well, typically, though, these drivers, when you get to this caliber, they do have great sportsmanship and they try not to impede best they can. And it is rare that we actually do see drivers stumbling over each other. So hopefully Piotr Stahalek is going to be okay. He's also come out a little bit earlier than what we typically see, and that's why it's only himself and Marcel Kiefer and Tomek Paradzic. Okay, now they're all filing out on circuit. But Piotr Stahalek has come out a lot earlier, and I believe that he's filled up the engine. Well, the engine. He's fueled up the car a little bit more, and
he's getting to a bit down, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hot in my room. I do apologise, and I've got only one window opened, and I've got a PC with hardly any fans just blasting heat at me. So go easy on me today.
I'm right with you there, my good man. It is horribly hot, and with very little ventilation going on. Yeah, I feel your pain.
I mean, it's been so hot recently in England.
So I'll weather the storm with you. I'm gonna do as many faux pas as you, I'm sure. I'm right there with you.
I mean, it's just been so hot in recent weeks, and we're not used to it here in the United Kingdom. So I think everyone in the live chat can understand us. But that is not going to be phasing the Polish driver out on circuit at the moment. Piotr Stahalek on his timed run, what could possibly be his last lap in Q2. And he's right on the bubble. He's 11th at the moment. Only 100th off of the back of Philip Presnod, which means that he is about he's so close, really, to actually finding that time. And if he can do it, I think he'll be very pleased with himself. But in towards Woodcut now, which is not really a corner. They just take it completely flat out. It's almost like Austria, turn number 2, in towards Koch, which most certainly is a corner, and he's taken that very nicely indeed. Didn't use all the circuit, though, that he could have, maybe being a little bit cautious. on the fact that track limits is very strict around here. If you run ever so slightly wide at Cops, then your lap is in tatters. Opening up the DRS now and keeping it towards the left-hand side of the circuit. The Alpine just warming up his tyres in front of him. That actually might be Philip Presner, and indeed it is, because his teammate Luke Smith has retired as he is up by just under a tenth of a second. What can Piet do here as he heads in towards now club corner for the final time in Q2, unless he goes for a back-to-back lap here, and he goes 5th place.
26.5 on the board for Piet Staudak. So who is next? I think is Marcel Kiefer is the next one over the line. This already on a time. But Alvaro Carreton has not moved, so his day is done. He's in second with the 26.4. I'd say he was safe where he is, but one that isn't safe is currently 15th, Marcel Kiefer, the German, now coming down through Vale and into the club chicane. What can he do? 27.468. We know it was an impeded lap. Can he get up into the top 10? You bet he can with a 26.334.
Wow.
Statement of intent. My goodness me. Who's next? Paragic is next across the line. He's 10th with 26.6. Can he improve? You bet he can. And 26.3 for Paragic. Butcher is next, I think. Yes, he is. Oh, a 26.6. That's close to the drop zone. What about Sayano? Can he improve? Absolutely. 26.437, 100th ahead of Blakely. Longue is over the line. 26.483 for him. Who's just come over the line? Parnell, I think. Yes. And a 26.318 from Blakely. He will not be outdone. Benham is up to 6th with a 26.451. Exactly the same as Alvaro Carreton. Who's Van Erven, I think, has just crossed the line. Yes, he did with a 26.483. Exactly the same as Longue. Crikey. Again, we know this field is close, but I didn't expect it to be that close. Preschneider cannot improve, and he's actually just bumped down to last. That 26.8 sees him out of the running. Manley is retired because he has managed to squeak through in 9th. So I wasn't far off saying 26.5 needed to be close, but it wasn't enough for Liam Parnell. 26.578 sees him in 11th.
Yeah, Luke Smith is really going to be kicking himself because he had the opportunity to come out on circuit once again and set a run. And I guess he just didn't expect so many drivers in behind to improve, and maybe didn't expect some track evolution to come into effect. And these times just naturally do get quicker the more rubber that is laid down on the circuit. He is out of qualifying alongside Liam Parnell, Alfie Butcher, Jack West and Philip Presneider. That is your bottom 5, but it is Lucas Blakely topping Q2. Marcel Kiefer, though, he topped Q1. He's second in Q2, so I think he's got to be very happy so far with his performance. I wonder if it's going to be P3 on the grid in Q3. I think it'd be quite funny. He's first in Q1, second in Q2, and then third in Q3. There it is, confirmation. He takes second place, and he is in that top 10, and he'll be in the fight for pole. Here it is then, your top 10 in qualifying, advancing to Q3. Lucas Blakely leading the way, just 16 thousandths ahead of Marcel Kiefer. Tomek Paragic in third. Jano Otmir in fourth. Fifth for Alvaro Carreton. Jake Benham 6th. 7th for Van Erven. Longue in 8th. Manley 9th. And then Piotr Stahelek just squeezing through in 10th. Your bottom 5 and eliminated in Q2 is Liam Parnell, Luke Smith, Alfie Butcher, Jack West and Philip Presneider. But that brings us to the end of Q2. Is going to be the battle for pole position between top 10 drivers with 12 minutes in that session. It's going to be very, very exciting.
Absolutely it is. And yet again, just over 2 tenths between 1st to 10th, 3 tenths 1st to 14th in that grid. So I'm always surprised. And I make no apologies for saying it because these are the very best. I'm stunned at how close they are every single week without fail. No matter what the track is, no matter what the weather is, they are still a matter of hundredths in between, thousands. Not even that on some occasions. Sometimes they're matching each other to the thousandths of a second. Again, to put that in perspective, it takes the average person a tenth of a second to blink. That's how close we're actually talking here. Absolutely love it. This is why I love talking about the very best in the business.
That's just why I love league racing. I mean, it's so entertaining to watch and commentate over, and hopefully all 884 of you watching at the moment in the live chat are enjoying. Q3 is about to get underway. 12 minutes for 10 drivers to battle it out for pole position here today for the British Grand Prix. We are going to join you trackside after a quick word from our sponsors at Gridfinder. And here we are back trackside in Q3, where we have a few drivers out on circuit looking to set their times early on. We've got Piotr Stahelek and the man we're watching at the moment, Tom Manley. And of course, Shadow is a very impressive driver. He was Season 12 champion on the Xbox platform, headed now over to the PC side of things. And surely, Chris, this guy's got a bright future.
Absolutely so. He shows he can really make it count along the Xbox side, but I think it's fair to say that this is quite a different breed over here on PC. No disrespect to the Xbox drivers, they are phenomenal, same as the PS4 guys. But because the esports sides too tend to focus more on the PC side, PC is the kind of chosen equipment for the F1 esports. That's why the PC guys tend to get a bit more focus. A bit of not much movement from most of the field. We've got both Hasses out there. Matthias Van Erven is going to be greeted fairly soon by a chasing Stahelek and also Tom Manley. Kiefer has also come out before the rest of the pack. Now we're starting to see a few drivers come out. So again, nothing that unusual, but this final Banzai phase is going to be all guns blazing, nothing left in the tank. We were seeing 26.3s at the top end of Q2. Will we see 26.2s? They were very, very close. Lucas was only a couple of hundredths off of 26.2s last time around, and the weather is still unchanged. So we'll see what the best of the best can do in Q3.
Absolutely, and of course track evolution will come into play, and we've seen a lot more runners laying down rubber, so hopefully that means that the track is going to be well rubbered in, and of course very grippy for these runners to put their times in. We're watching Tom Manley at the moment. He's not the first driver out on track here. That is Piotr Stahelek, but we'll see what his sector times are at the moment, and it is a 1:03.2, so I'd imagine this is a scrub set of the tyre. It's not as quick as what we were seeing at the end of Q2, but this is certainly an impressive time nonetheless. I believe Stahelek's about to cross the line as we're watching Tom Manley headed in towards Vale. It's a 26.977 for Piotr. What about Tom as he heads through the final corner now, and it is going to be a 1:26.999. So that is a 22 thousandths of a second off the back of the Haas. It's a nice, decent banker for them, of course, on a scrub set of the tyre, which I like to make the point every week. I believe there is some sort of a psychological effect of having that green delta time. You're going to feel more confident on your lap, and that's going to mean you're driving quicker. So I think these guys, they have that to their advantage now.
Absolutely so. The next guy, I believe, is going to be Matthias Van Erven. He's invalidated his lap, so he would not do anything on this particular run. The next one down the road is going to be the debutant. It's Marcel Kiefer, just coming out of left field with a bit of a wiggle. Yeah, I think you're right. There is a bit of a psychological advantage of knowing you're bettering your previous time. And also you get an idea of how much you can realistically push. When you know where the car is beginning to give up on the scrub set of tyres, you know you can push that fraction of a second harder on the fresh set of tyres. So those little mind games that go on. And it's also keeping the very, very best to last, not playing all your game-winning cards too early. That kind of gamemanship happens in league racing, happens in F1 esports. The pros do it in the real world, and the pros do it in F1 esports as well. Here comes Kiefer. What can he do? Coming through the club chicane. Again, a bit of a wiggle. The tail, a little bit unhappy. Excuse me? A 26.286. If that was a scrub set of tyres, then my God, that's incredible. 26.359 for Paragic as well. One would assume that that's a fresh set of tyres on Kiefer's car.
Yeah.
Okay, he's decided to throw the rule book out the window and said, come on then, have a go at that. Wow.
Yeah, fantastic lap coming out from Marcel Kiefer there. We'll see if Alvaro Carreton is able to match him. Longue was invalid just ahead of him on the road, but here's the Spaniard up to the line, and indeed he can go quicker. Can Jake Benham match the Spaniard? What about Jarno Opmeer? Jake Benham's gone into into fourth place. Opmeer's gone into third. He's not quite at the level of what Alvaro and...
There it is.
We expected it. Lucas Blakely has been a little bit quiet so far in WOR qualifying. He topped Q2 if I'm not mistaken, and I shouldn't be. I mean, it was only about 7 minutes ago, but there it is.
Yes, it was a 26.318 he did in Q2. He topped Q1 as well, and yeah, okay. Everything that anyone has thrown at him, he's had an answer for. Just unreal.
He is sublime. He really is. I mean, he's so undeniable in his pace, and this is a very, very good omen for what is to come in F1 esports. You really can expect Lucas Blakely to be right at the top. Is this your picks for pole position? Let us know in the live chat. Will Lucas Blakely be taking pole, or will it be the likes of Alvaro Carreton, Marcel Kiefer, Jarno Opmeer to take that top spot? Let us know who you think will be starting from P1 today. Chris, I'm going to turn the question to you whilst we still have time before what you like to say. The Banzai phase gets underway. Who is your pick for pole?
You can't not go for Blakely. He's just been indomitable. Outside of Blakely, all right, let's do this a different way. Who is joining Blakely on the front row? Let's do it that way. I'm going to go Kiefer, because Kiefer has been right there. He's hit the ground running. So I'm going to go with the German debutant this time around. I'm going to go, say Marcel Kiefer is going to be on the front row alongside Lucas Blakely.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm going to say for pole position, Jarno Opmeer is going to take it. I think he'll be able to trump Lucas Blakely. I think he'll start in second. Let's see what everyone in the live chat is saying. We've got Hi Boy saying Jarno Opmeer. We've got Goatified Rat saying Marcel Kiefer. We actually have a poll going on at the moment in for who takes pole, and you can vote on who you think will take the front row on the grid. As we've seen, we've got another pick for Lucas by Nick Rambo. We've got Uke van der Velden saying Jarno or Marcel. Kenny Patrick saying Lucas. We've got Milan saying Tomek, I believe. I mean, there's a lot of variation in everyone's picks here, and I think it is wonderful to see. But at the moment, with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in qualifying, not a car on track.
Nope, not at the moment. What's just made me chocolate there is, being that I'm not the streamer, I have the opportunity to have music on in the background. And the song that I've got on at the moment perfectly suits what Blakely's doing. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. Every time someone has put in a storming lap, he's just said, here I am. And bang, he's taken that top spot. Out they come again then. Paragic, Longue, who's now looks like the Mercs are coming out next. Opmeer and Benham. Here we go. Banzai phase is on.
Absolutely. We've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go, and I think that's a very fitting song choice that you've got going on at the moment, and I hope that was by chance as well.
It was completely by chance, yes.
That's hilarious. I mean, I used to, but before I was streaming, I used to have music on in the background, just some relaxing tunes, so that I wouldn't have a heart failure mid-race, but I don't have that luxury anymore, so if I get too excited, then expect something to happen. But we do have Tomek Paragic and Nicolas Longue yet to set a time in Q3 at the moment. He invalidated his first attempt. Chris, this is certainly a driver that we need to see at least in the top 5 today.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. So Longue, I think, is the first car out there with his teammate right on his tail. So is one going to be able to give us the other a slipstream? We will see. I think they just swapped round, actually. Yes, so Tomek is now... Tomek, it looks like he's too far ahead of Nicholas to give a slipstream. So Tomek is just deciding he wants to get his lap out there first. And yeah, Matthias Van Erven, he's some way behind. So the next one to set a lap, their final of the session, is going to be the Alfa Romeo of Tomek Paradzic as he starts his final time run.
Headed now down in towards Abbey Corner, this fast right-hander. He's got to fling it over to the left, in towards the first sector now, and we'll see what he can do as he kisses the apex and then on the inside line, then runs it out wide using the extremities of the circuit, scrubbing the minimum speed off as possible on towards now the Wellington Street, where he's going to be climbing up the gears and increasing in top speed to about 202 miles per hour at the braking zone as he's up by just 1/100th of a second. This won't be enough to get pole position so far, but it could see him slightly up the order, maybe ahead of Jarno Opmeer. Down in towards now Woodcote and onto the National Pit Straight, where they used to start the Grand Prix before 2011. In towards Cops now. Tomek Paradzic really on the limits here, using all the track possible, and he's flying at the moment in towards Maggots and Beckett's now. The series of quick lefts and rights, easy to settle the car, but it does not phase Tomek as he heads now in towards the final sector, where he's up by a 1/10 of a second. So this is looking like a very nice in time, and he's on an upward trajectory as the clock strikes 0. No new lap times can be started. We have all 10 drivers out on circuit and setting their final qualifying attempts as in towards now the final corners. It is Tomek Paradzic to finish his lap first. Where can he go provisionally? It is at best P3 today. His teammate Nicolas Longuet is next up to cross the line. Where can he go? It is to the top of the pecking order, ahead of Lucas Blakely, but for how much longer? We have Tom Manley next up, yet to set a representative lap time in this session. Here he comes, the AlphaTauri driver goes into 7th position. We've got Jarno Opmeer up next. My pick for pole position, a 10.5 up on his previous best time. He's got Lucas Blakely in behind him. The Dutchman now off the exit of Club Corner to cross the line. Where can he go? 2nd position, 1,000th off of pole. Blakely to the line, a 1 minute 26.050. Oh wow, that is a monumental lap. That is a worldie of a time for him. There is a Stahalek off the track. We've got Van Erven next up. Where can he go? It is 8th position for him provisionally, unless Benham can do anything about it. He cannot. What about Marcel Kiefer coming up towards the line? He's down. Alvaro Carreton has gone into 2nd position, but nobody, absolutely nobody, can deny Lucas Blakely. What a time.
It defies words, but there it is. Lucas Blakely topping all 3 sections in the McLaren by 0.5 over Carreton. Superb effort from the Spaniard. Longuet, not even a 10th behind the Scotsman. Beating Jarno Opmeer by thousandths of a second. It takes on row 2. Row 3 is Paradzic and Kiefer. Great stuff. Only 2/10 off the top spot. Row 4 is Tom Manley and Matthias Van Erven. And row 5 is Jake Benham and Piotr Stahalek. My goodness me, what? I think Piotr had to bin his last lap, but he was still under 27. But Struth, 4/10 from 1st to 9th.
Yeah, and as we finish qualifying, our poll has ended, and 45% of people were correct. They said that Lucas Blakely would be taking pole position, and there it is. He is on top. 41% of people said Jarno Opmeer. Marcel Kiefer got 10% of the votes. Only 2% for Alvaro Carreton. But as you can see there, he is starting from the front row and in P2. So I think that's a very good qualifying from him. We are having a quick lobby restart, but that gives us all the more time to talk about that qualifying session for the British Grand Prix. And it really does just tip up a fantastic race today.
The only person that can stop Lucas Blakely is Lucas Blakely. It's just unreal. It takes a mistake from him to dethrone him. Absolutely unreal. And I was curious to see what the weather was going to do in this lobby. I've actually let it tick on. It's, shall we say, a typical British summer. It's cloudy and miserable. So the drivers will be quite happy that they aren't facing that particular weather condition, unless, of course, whoever sets up the lobby decides to make it rain. Or if they set dramatic weather, sure, why not? Bung, snow, and hail in there. If they said dynamic weather and it's still going to be wet, that's going to make life even more interesting. But then that plays into Lucas Blakely's strengths. He's Scottish. He knows exactly what rain is. That's all they get in Scotland.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been to Scotland a few times. I've got relatives up there on my mum's side, and it is certainly a lot colder than England, and I don't know how that is possible. Normally, all year round, it is freezing here, but just for some reason, it is so hot. And it's not the same in the in-game Silverstone, because a little bit cloudy, that still means it can be hot. But I wonder if that tips a little bit of rain.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I lived in Dundee for several years. It was a great city to live in. But yeah, they do weather differently north of the border.
So headed now into the race, I think we do have to talk about one pretty big surprise in this session. That was Marcel Kiefer. Of course, debut in WOR. He topped Q1, he came second in Q2, but only 6th place in qualifying 3, and I think some people are talking about some issues that he might have had and how the game sort of messed him up there, and it's certainly a position where he is not used to start, not used to be starting in, but do you think he can climb up the order?
Absolutely. Yeah, everybody here is some of the very, very best drivers. So can they go quicker? Sure. Will circumstance allow them to? We will see. That's the thing, is that there's always the opportunity for the game to misbehave. There's always the chance that someone else's issue catches you out and ruins your front wing. But as we've seen time and again, you need to just carry on and pushing. Safety cars are certainly possible here in Silverstone. There's a fair amount of runoff in most areas, so safety cars are less likely, but by no means impossible.
I don't remember. I don't remember many safety cars so far this season. I have missed the last few races due to being on a holiday. It was very nice in Portugal. Similar weather to what we're getting, but we don't have any nice pool to go into. And I'm not going to shut up about the weather at any point, so you've got to get used to it. I'm just seeing in the live chat that we've been confirmed we are not having Ruben Pedreño racing with us today. Very unfortunate to see. It's due to some pedal issues. Of course, he was eliminated in the first session of qualifying, and I don't know whether that means we're only going to have 19 runners or maybe someone else headed into his seat and starting, I'd imagine, in 20th position alongside Alessio de Capua, who had his qualifying ban. Before we head into the race, Chris, we're still getting the lobby all set up. I think it's a good opportunity to talk about the racetrack that we have. Of course, it is Silverstone Circuit, 5.891 kilometres in length, with 2 DRS zones for the drivers to utilise and a series total of 18 corners. Very long circuit in comparison to what we're used to nowadays. But Chris, this is really a classic. It's retro. It is Silverstone. And arguably, it is the home of Formula One racing.
Absolutely. It's a favourite along in a lot of drivers, both real world and sim racing. It's got so many memorable moments and memorable corners. Yeah, the Maggots Beckett's Chapel Curve complex is remembered either fondly or not so by so many people. And the infield section from Abbey right the way round to Beckett's. Obviously, a newer section, not as old as some others, but even still has created a number of fine moments. Certainly memorable moments, not all of them to the driver's benefit. But this track has always been very, very challenging. You have got some real fast corners that do necessitate a decent setup. You can't just go completely Monza and have a zero wing setup. But you can try, but your race will be very compromised or very short. Silverstone is one of these tracks that never fails to entertain.
Absolutely. I mean, it just brings so much action. And I remember a very fond league race, even before I was commentating. I think it was ILR something on Xbox. It was around this circuit. It was Ginger Andy commentating, and it was OMG It's Joe Hannon, and Veloce Surprise, which is now Josh Adowu, going side by side for a lap on the final lap of the race, fighting for the win. And I remember it so fondly, watching it on Twitter for the first time and not really being massively into commentary. It's just this track brings so many special moments. Hopefully we can see more of them today. Everyone, we are just getting ready for qualifying. We are sorting out the grid order. From what I'm seeing, it's only 19 runners racing with us today. Of course, Rune Pedreño suffering from some pedal issues, and he won't be competing today, which is very unfortunate. So 19 runners taking to this track, and it is certainly going to be some massive excitement. Let us know, everyone, in the live chat who you are supporting for this evening, and we'll read out some of your favourite drivers. And I wonder who has got the most support, and I think I already know one particular Dutchman who's going to be very popular with the fans today.
Yes, that's a fairly safe bet. So who do we think is going to be taking top honours today? Certainly Jarno is in the running. Certainly Lucas is in the running. Let's not forget, Jack Benham's been on the podium twice. Nicolas Longuet is champion from last time around. He's seen the podium. He's had a third and a fourth so far this season. He's missed the last couple of rounds. But again, getting through to Q3 and still doing well. We've had Tom Manley was on the podium last time out in Australia. So, yeah, keep an eye on him. There's a potential. Alfie Butcher, we haven't seen him in the last couple of rounds, but he's seen the podium as well. Again, we've got a slightly unknown quantity in Marcel Kiefer. So, yeah, a veteran in esports world, but coming to WOR for the first time. Again, there's so much potential out there. And along with names we haven't mentioned, or I haven't mentioned, Statalek, Parajic, Will Lewis, Carter Lundy, all names of very, very high caliber. But with that quite cutting edge to take the top honours, I think the likelihood is still going to be between Blakely and Ottmere is where I'm going for top honours. If I were to put a third name in the podium pick, I'm going to say for podium 3, I'm going to go Blakely, Ottmere, and Longuet. That's right, who I reckon is going to take the top 3 spots.
Okay, I think you're also sleeping a little bit on Marcel Kiefer, of course, starting in 6th place. It's not the best start for him. Also, you're sleeping on Alvaro Carreton. There's a lot of names that do just kind of go unmentioned. Carreton's starting from 2nd today, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the win today. I'm certainly going to predict him for a podium. Hopefully, everyone can have a good race today and we can be thoroughly entertained. But we are getting ready for this race, so your wait is now over. We are headed for 26 laps of the British Grand Prix, right at the end of an advert from our sponsors at Gridfinder. And here we are now, loading into Silverstone. We're not running a formation lap, which means we are headed, Chris, right into the action at the end of the strategy picks. But what do you think the drivers are going to be running today?
I think we're going to be starting mediums. I think that's going to be the favoured option. But we'll see. Generally, we've seen most drivers starting hards with a few sprinkling of mediums. Why not? Let's go the other way. It's going to be pretty hot at Silverstone with the weather being clear. So I reckon people might go for the mediums instead. Who knows? I have no idea. I'm just essentially talking out of my derriere. I'm picking that out of nowhere. So we'll see. We will be finding out in hopefully about 30 seconds time when all the strategies are dealt with. It's just this tense build-up, isn't it? When we're just waiting for that timer to tick down. Certainly for myself. I don't know if you got this, Dan, but at this point, I'm just like, come on, let us go.
I'm getting the itch for some WOR action. Let us know, everyone in the live chat, who you think is going to be winning. I asked for your favourite drivers. Now I'm going to ask who you think is going to win. Chris has gone the way of Lucas Blakely taking victory today. I'm going to be the contrarian to him. I'll say Nicolas Longuet is going to take victory today. Our season 12 champion and proven fast driver around this track. Of course, going up against the McLaren, who's won 3 of 4 races so far this season. Can he make it 4 in 5? You can see the clock is ticking down. I'm seeing some love for Jarno Opmeer in the live chat, and someone's asking if Marcel Kiefer is racing. Indeed, he is, but we are now headed to the grid to get this race underway. Here we are, the lights coming on, and we are getting ready for the Silverstone Grand Prix. Here we are now, we are underway, and who gets the best start? We got the predicted pit stop strategy in our way, but it looks like Caraton has got a fantastic getaway in towards the first corner into Abbey. Look at Longue going through, slipping on by. It's been a dreadful start for Lucas Blakely, all the way down into 4th position. He's trying to scrap with Jarno Opmeer now for the final place on the podium, but it is Longue to the outside line of Alvaro Caraton, now headed in towards the loop, and indeed the Frenchman has got to head. The Alfa Romeo driver leads his way down the Wellington straight now. We've got Jake Benham putting pressure. There's a spinner at the back. That's Prejnader. I believe they head in towards Brooklyn now. Jake Benham's gone to the inside of his teammate, and he gets ahead and onto the podium places. Longue leads at the end of the first sector. Caraton maintains second. Third for Benham. Make that fourth, because here comes... No, make that second. He's on the back of Alvaro Caraton. What a start from Jake Benham on his set of the fresh, soft compound of tyre, and he's making them work early on. What a getaway.
Isn't he just absolutely so tough? And Luke Smith's in trouble. He's had a spin on the exit of Copse. Oh my goodness me, so that's both the Alpines in the bottom positions. But my goodness me, Longue, where the hell did that come from? Here comes Benham. And that's one way to do a contra strategy. Go for the soft tyres, expecting him in about 5 laps time. Those tyres will be absolute sponge. But he is absolutely flying. 8 positions. He was absolutely... So he started 9th, was in 6th before they even got down to the end of Sector 1. Absolutely storming start from the Mercedes driver.
What a start from him there. He is undeniable, really, on the soft compound of tyre, and you've noticed all the hard runners have also dropped down the order. We didn't get time to see what tyres everyone would be starting on, but Alvaro Caraton, Nicolas Longue, Opmeer, Van Erven and Stahalek, they've all opted for a set of the mediums. The rest of the grid on the hards, which explains why Blakely dropped so far down at the start. He doesn't have the temperature in that hard compound of tyre, and so he's not going to be as competitive early on, but he has the longevity. He can go later on into this race, and then he can strap on a fresher set of a softer compound than what his rivals are doing. So do not count Lucas Blakely out after such a poor start. He is going to phase very well back into this race.
Absolutely. So Benham's going to have to go to the hard tyres after these softs. They're no way going to last long enough to make a medium stint work. But again, we will see. I've been proven wrong many, many times on tyre strategies. So a very curious decision. These days, we really don't see softs as a viable starting tyre. Unless he knows something that we don't. But we know the weather isn't going to change. We're not on dynamic weather. It's set to dry. He's burning his battery down. Now, Silverstone, you do have several braking zones to try and recharge at. But he is absolutely hammering his battery to really break away from the pack behind. But also bearing in mind that DRS obviously hasn't been a thing yet. But his soft tyres are not going to be an optimum condition for long. The mediums are going to be kicking in round about now. Jake Benham's already had the best out of those tyres. That's not stopping him, though. He is pressing on really, really hard. Longue's already got his fuel light on, along with Caraton, Opmeer, and Blakely as well. So they're pushing early to try and maintain distance. So Blakely is in danger of losing DRS to Jarno Opmeer. That's going to be very, very hard to close back down, but he's going to rely on the tyre strategy, I would think, to try and close that gap back down. But Benham is now 1.2 ahead of Longue.
He's been really just hammering those soft compound of tyres, and he's making it work. I mean, he's been able to climb way up the order, so fair play to him. Nicolas Longue is not going to be seeing the benefit of the DRS, which is going to massively hamper him. Does Alvaro Caraton get it down this straight? Indeed, he does, but Longue does not. He is closing that gap ever so slightly, and also apologies for some desync issues. Tom Manley is he's showing up as 19th at the moment, and then he was in P1 at some points. I can confirm, someone has said that in the live chat, he's in 10th place at the moment.
He is indeed. I can tell you where Tom Manley is. He's in the correct position for me. He's right behind Marcel Keefer and 8/10-ish ahead of Liam Parnell.
Okay. Sorry everyone, this is just something we're going to have to deal with, but 6th place driver Matthijs van Erven having some troubles early. He's got a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, and that's really not going to help his race. However, he is within DRS range of Lucas Blakely, a driver who does not have the benefit of the DRS, so the Haasman can close that gap and potentially vie for a move for P5, as headed in towards now the Brooklands and Luffield complex of corner at the beginning of the second sector. We'll see what he can do. Can he get a good exit off of Woodcote? He needs to use these tyres early on in comparison to Blakely, and indeed he is doing that as he heads now down in towards Copse, towards the rear of the McLaren, in towards now Maggots and Beckett. Licorice Longue meanwhile checking in at the front. He's been able to bridge that gap to Jake Benham. He's now 8/10 off the back of the Mercedes car, and so we'll see what he can muster and try and defend from Caraton, who is closing at a rate of knots already. Chris, on lap number 4, we are seeing a typical thing around this track. The DRS train is beginning to form.
That it is. Benham's burned the best out of his tyres as Longue is closing him back down now. So just under 7/10 between the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo up top, with Alvaro Carrington and Jarno Opmeer in close order. Blakely very much out of DRS range to Jarno, with Matthijs van Erven all over his tail. Stowlek is out of battery energy as well, so he's been trying to get back in DRS range to his teammate. He's got nothing left to push with. Only the medium tyres now. He's got no ERS energy, which can make a huge difference. You've got several big heavy braking zones into very slow corners, which is where you'll generally see the battery being dumped to try and close that down. He's just got nothing left to try and push with, or very much less than most around it. But then you look through the field and not many, in fact, does anybody have more than half? Well, Tom Manley does in 10th position. I'm just going to look through the field. The back three have more than 50% in their battery, and Tom Manley in the middle of the field. Everybody else is either half or less in their battery. Everybody has been pushing quite hard to remain where they are. Simon Perroni now is added his name to the penalty board. That was at Copse. I said earlier that was going to be a prime spot for people pushing that a little bit too hard to try and maintain the momentum on the closing on that DRS train, and that's exactly where he's just had that moment. I'm looking at Alfie Butcher now, sizing up Jack West for 12th. Straightforward DRS pass coming into Stowe, and that's job done for the Ferrari. Plenty of time left. I would imagine Benham's going to be in either next lap. It really should be in next lap, I would think, to get rid of those soft tyres. Otherwise, he's going to be leaving it too long, and he's going to start to plummet through the field.
Absolutely. He's got Nicolas Longue breathing down his neck, but arguably Alvaro Carrington is closer to the back of the Frenchman than the Frenchman is to the back of the Englishman. We've got yellow flags now, and that is Luke Smith. Unfortunately, he's just had a torrid day now, down in last position. How now? We'll watch the front runners try and battle it out for this position. Nico has got to go soon and try and make an overtake on Jake Benham for the lead of this Grand Prix. Otherwise, he's going to be at the mercy of Alvaro and Jarno Opmeer. They have dropped Lucas, which is understandable given that he's on a set of the hards and they are yet to phase into this race so far. And I'd say it is a disaster really for the Haas's, given that they are being held up by this runner, and it doesn't help that they've both got penalties to their names very early on in this race as well, so they've got to do quite a bit to recover as they head down the hangar straight. Doesn't seem like any moves are going to be made at the moment, and given that we are in a DRS train, it's going to be very difficult for the likes of Carrington and Opmeer to try and make those moves.
And Benham stays out. I think that's too long. I think that's too long on these soft tyres. Then they're just gonna. He's got about 27% in the battery at least, so he's got something. I wouldn't be surprised if Benham doesn't actually try and defend too hard against the three behind. Whether Benham realises there's a bit of a gap between Jarno and Blakely, no idea. But I wouldn't be surprised if If Longue doesn't have too much opposition against Benham, Benham will realise his tyres are gone, and he can't be able to, he can't defend as Luke Smith has retired his car in the pit lane.
Understandable for Luke Smith. He's had 2 separate incidences today, so it's not been great from him. Jake Benham still leading this race as he has done from the very beginning, where he's able to overtake everyone using the best of his soft compound of tyre, but now they have really fallen away, and Nicolas Longue, Alvaro Carreton and Jan Ortmeier have been able to reel in the Mercedes driver. I don't think this is too bad of a strategy call actually for him to stay out, as long as he's keeping up and staying ahead of all these runners. He is controlling the pace at this point, but for how much longer? Because Nico is getting very close to the rear of the Mercedes through Maggotts and Beckett, and off the exit of Chapel now, opening up the DRS. Jake Benham has nothing to defend with, holding the inside line, and the Frenchman is able to easily cruise on by. He takes the lead on lap number 7, headed in towards Stowe Corner, and I wonder if Jake is now calling it time to pit, and no, he is not. I think he's going to wait until the likes of Alvaro and Jarno get on by and then come into the box.
Lucas is closing in a little bit, or did close in a little bit on that lap on Jarno and the top 4. He hasn't got a lot left in the battery to try and press on. He's dragging Matthias Van Erven with him, but Stalek has really fallen behind, 1.5 seconds behind his teammate. He hasn't been able to close that gap in whatsoever, and now the hard runners will have their tyres very much in their operating window, but the hard runners are likely just keep pace, just maintain their pace. They're all in the DRS train except for Pracenade, who of course had that early spin. So the hard runs aren't going to push that much at this stage. If they get the opportunity to start to hustle Starlek, then yes, they will take it. But at the moment, they're not going to push too hard. They're saving their push for the tail end of the race when they've got the fresher rubber and the lighter car in their grasp. Longue's nearly 9/10 ahead of Benham now. I reckon Benham's Leicester's too long, nearly flies off the road at Cops. So there's nothing left in those soft tyres. In my opinion, he should have come in by now. But yeah, if this is a strategy he's practiced, then fair play to him. He's lost DRS. Yeah, he had no DRS there, and past comes Carreton. Jarno, I think if Jarno was going to banzai that, then Jake would have actually let him through. Does Benham choose to come in this time? Yes, he does. He's peeling in. So the first pit stop is going to go to Benham. Surely that is going to be hard tyres on the Mercedes, or is it? Yeah, it must be. I can't imagine mediums are going to go, nearly 20 laps. There'll be something like 15, 16 laps. Yeah, I can't say. Yeah, it is indeed hard tyres for Benham. But he's going to have to pace himself to not burn those out too quickly, because he's going to want to see those out to the end of the race.
Yeah, but he's going to go very, very long on this set of the hards. The only driver to opt for this strategy call. We'll see if it works out for him. He's going to have all the clear air in the world that he wants. It's going to be very difficult for him to warm up the tyres. It typically is on this game, especially the hards. The warm-up is just terrible now. So hopefully he can get himself back into this race, and when he's going to have the heated up hards by the time that all of the medium runners come into the pits, he is going to have good pace. I'm seeing a lot of people bashing on Jake about this strategy. I don't think it is too terrible. I think he's been able to make up track position and come in and be able to extend his pit stop to be competitive later on in the race. And if I'm wrong, then I'll eat my words. I'll back down and I won't deny it. But I don't think it is too bad for I don't think it's too bad for Jake. As OMG It's Joe has put it in the live chat, he started in 9th and he's led the race since the start. He's now got himself into that front fight, and if he was in 9th at the moment, he'd be behind Marcel Kiefer and he'd be way out of this race. So I think it's not too bad for Jake.
Jake's done a brilliant job to make the strategy work as well as he had. I just personally think he left it a little bit too long to come in and get those hard tyres on. Yes, he's got a lot of clean air, but he's got no DRS to use. So yeah, he's got no one to get DRS from yet. But we will see. We will see. Lucas Blakely is almost within DRS range of the top 3 now. But he's had to use, like I say, I always harp on about the battery usage, but it's crucial to make sure you've got that energy to push on with. He's just outside, less than half a tenth away from getting DRS off the top 3. It's, his hard tyres you're going to be in fairly good shape, as Marcel Kiefer has just danced around Piotr Starlek. Now the medium tires are going to start to struggle at this stage, and Starlek is really going to highlight that. He's going to start to really struggle to keep the hard runners behind. So the medium runners, expect them in, I would say around about lap 12 is when you're going to see the medium runners come in. 15 or so for the hards. That's my guess on when the starters are going to be coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the hards are certainly the quicker tyres at the moment. And Lucas Blakely has now got DRS, and he is in the train for the lead of the race. Alvaro Carreton getting close to the rear of Nico, and he's not been able to go for that move just yet. And I'd imagine he wants to just hang back for the time being. But it seems like the top 5 at the moment, including Jake Benham, who is down in 17th after making his first pit stop. That top 6 is going to be what is deciding this race. And of course, Matthijs does have, unfortunately, a 3-second time penalty. He might be able to get that one removed. We'll have to wait and see, and that'll be up to the stewards. But for the time being, we are watching on lap number 11, nearing the halfway point of the British Grand Prix. Nicolas Longuet leading this race from Alvaro Carreton in second. Third for Jarno Opmeer. Fourth place for Lucas Blakely. He's been able to get himself into this fight for the win of the race, despite dropping down right at the very beginning, and he is certainly going to be very, very quick towards the end of the race. And Chris, this race is almost halfway over, but the stories, they are certainly not far from done. They are not even close to being done.
Yeah, totally. We've got a lot of twists and turns to go through yet. So Blakely has managed to get into striking range of Jarno Opmeer now. He's close enough to that the Dutchman will know that the Scotsman is there. But yeah, he's not going to be able to push on here. He's not going to be able to make an attack here. He's going to be either going to be able to make a move into Stowe. Let's have a look. But, Lucas has had to use a lot of energy to get there. Jarno's been able to get his battery back up to around about 70%. And Carreton has actually managed to jump Longuet on the run down to Stowe, as Liam Parnell and Piotr Starlek have now swapped around. That's because the medium tyres are starting to cry. They've had enough of this race, and this is what Lucas is going to be counting on. That's what he's going to be mainly capitalising in getting through this particular part of the pack. He wants to be able to press on and use his remaining tyre advantage over the medium starters. Like I said, I reckon it's going to be about 12 laps before we see the medium starters come in, and that's Preschneider in. His race has been very, very difficult, I think it's fair to say. Is this a retirement from him, or is this a front wing change? No, it's just a tyre change. That's quite early from the hards to the mediums. We'll see if he can make that work. I guess he's in a position of, well, why not try something different?
They can go to the end, of course. We've seen the medium runners at the moment, 12 laps, 11 and a half laps in, and they're still on their medium tyres just fine. Of course, they are slower, as to be expected, than the hards. But given that they're lighter on fuel, later on in the race, Philip is going to be easily able to take these to the end. So I don't think he has to worry about the tyres falling off. He's just going to get an undercut on some of his rivals, and maybe try and get his way back into this race. At the moment, we are watching Lucas Blakely starting from pole position, dropping down the order on his hard compounder tyres. He now runs in fourth, following in behind Jarno Opmeer, starting on the mediums. Are any of these medium runners going to come into the pits out of the top 5? 4 of them on the mediums, and Matthijs is the one to blink first, the man with the penalty. And another penalty to his name added, 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. That is now 8 seconds for the Dutchman. It's not looking good for him, but he is going to box. He'll be the first of the medium runners to do so, and he'll fit the hard compound of tyres to go to the end here.
And Pironi is in as well. I didn't expect any hard starters to be in just yet. As Starlek has now added his name to... so he's added to his penalty count. Oh dear, that's 6 seconds now for Starlek, and medium tyres going onto Pironi's car. And away he goes. And like you say, he's very confident he can do the 14 remaining racing laps on the lighter Aston. And he's going to come out behind Jake Benham. To how much of a degree? Yes, well, he's got a bit of distance to catch up there. We'll see how we can do. Matthias Van Erven has also been through the pits. He'll probably be picked off by Jake as well. But up front, Lucas Blakely is really homing in now on Jarno Opmeer. Is he going to be able to... Well, he's not going to be able to challenge through Marcus and Beckett, as mentioned before, but he's going to be right under the diffuser of the Mercedes. Now, I would think that Lucas isn't going to try and hang around and wait for the top three to make the decision, although Jarno had an absolutely storming exit from Chapel, as we've had Matthias van Erven. No, that's not Van Erven. No, it's Starlek. So Starlek's had a spin on the exit of Chapel. His tyres are really screaming, but still, Jarno's now come in. So it's Longe and Carrington have continued on their. Well, he must be struggling a bit on those sides, as now comes in as well Jack West and Carter Lundy.
Yep, and we've also seen Jake Benham get by on Matthias van Erven, struggling with the warm-up on the early laps, and I'd imagine that Jake is going to come out ahead of Jarno Ottmer, at least be able to overtake him. He does have 4 laps older tyres as Stahalek retires in the pit lane. That's his day done alongside Luke Smith and Ruben Pedreño, who wasn't even able to start this Grand Prix. But let's see, we're watching Jake Benham, his teammate, emerging from the pit exit now as he heads through Abbey Corner. Where is Jarno going to be? He is going to come out ahead of Jake. There he is, headed in towards, I believe that's Village there, and he is out in front. However, though, the warm-up is not going to be favourable for the Dutchman, so Jake Benham off the exit here. Will he attack his teammate? Of course, these two have very good relations. They may be going to employ some team orders here. We'll have to wait and see, but it doesn't look like at the moment, Chris, he's catching too bad.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, that's a penalty you don't often see. Simon apparently ignoring yellow flags. Well, you don't often see that one. As he's all over the tail of Jack West. Having a look at the outside line of Luffield. It's possible to make a move there, but he's going to switch back underneath Williams and make the move as he's come through Woodcote up to 14th position. As in comes Carrington and Longe. So they've had enough of the medium tyres, along with Manley and Parnell and Will Lewis and De Capua, all coming in. Quite a few people getting the 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty. That could be contested. There is still some concern about when the pit lane speed limiter is engaged. Sometimes it blips, and those split second it takes you over the speed limit. So that'll be up to the stewards to decide. But as it currently stands, quite a few drivers with that 5-second penalty, and that now gives Lucas Blakely 3.6 second lead over Paragic, with Kiefer now up into third.
And here we're just seeing Jarno Ottmer coming through the first corners now in what I believe is 7th position. We have Tom Manley still desynced at the moment. He's showing up now as 5th on my screen, but I think this is 7th place for Jarno Ottmer. He's on the back of Nicolas Longe, who is of course going to have to get the heat into those hard tyres. Going to be very tricky as they head in towards Brooklyn. Look at how much more confident Jarno Ottmer can be. He's going to try and maybe go for a move through Luffield around the outside through here. Is he going to make this one work? Will Longe leave him the room? Indeed he will. What an overtake for Jarno Ottmer. I think Jake Benham is going to try and follow suit as well as they head down towards Cops Corner. Will Benham lurch to the inside? That'd be silly to do so from that far back, as he is able to get him off the exit here, as we've seen Blakely peel off into the pit lane. But we're watching the battle through Maggots and Beckett side by side, touching wheels. Jake Benham comes out in front. Matthias van Erven sneaks through as well. And Nicolas Longe, with the worst warm-up of the tyres, has lost 3 positions in the space of just 1 sector. Alvaro Carreton has not had the same issues. He is currently in a net P1 at the moment, ahead of Jarno Ottmer, and Jake Benham in 3rd place. Where are they going to merge in comparison to Blakely, Paragic and Butcher, as now through the final corner they come. We are watching the Spaniard in his Williams head towards the first corner. Blakely leaving the pit lane now. Has he nailed the in-lap? Indeed he has. Lucas Blakely comes out in front on a set of the medium compounder tyre. Once he gets those up to temperature, he is going to be so much quicker than Alvaro and the rest of the hard runners. And Blakely, he might have perfected this.
Wow, that's absolutely unreal. Now, to give you a bit of an update, I know that you're struggling to see where Tom Manley is. He's in 9th. He's behind Tomek Paragic. Now, the gap between the medium runners and the hard runners is down to 1.8 seconds, as Manley's actually having a look on the inside line of Paragic coming through Luffield. I can't believe that overtake from Jarno on the outside line of Luffield. I said a lap ago it's possible to do it, and Jarno said, yeah, what's this? And round he went. Now Marcel is in. Oh, and Marcel, he's got himself the 5-second limit. And now that was his fault. He was fully locked up as he came over the line. But with 26.5 seconds to the good over Blakely, what can he do? I'm curious to see. So I think the pit lane loss is around about 25-ish seconds. So no front wing going on the Red Bull either. Good pit stop. Well, he's the only one in there, so it ought to be. As Manley has just gotten past Tomek Parajic now for 8th position, in 1.6 behind Longue in that DRS train, behind Lucas Blakely. Now, where does Marcel Kiefer reappear in relation to Lucas Blakely and that pack? He's going to be in that pack, I think, as Blakely's gone through. Marcel Kiefer reappears behind Benham on medium tyres. So expect the German to really start hustling for potentially podium spots.
If he can get the heat in those tyres early, he'll be able to overtake these runners, and as expected, he's losing the places to Van Erven and Longue. It's a real shame that I'm not able to see Tom Manley, because if he gets himself into this fight for the lead, we could see some fantastic battles, and it's a real shame as Will Lewis, Tom Manley's AlphaTauri teammate, has unfortunately had an off, and he's now down into 17th place, which is effectively last of the runners at the moment. As we're watching Lucas Blakely, he's now stretched the advantage to 1.1 seconds. He is firmly out of the DRS range of his rivals, and this is a really good showing from the Scotsman, dropping to as low down as about 6th place at the start of the race, starting on the hards. Now he's on the mediums. He's phasing in very, very well. It's all about getting that gap to Alvaro and Jarno Opmeer in behind, and then once they catch him later on in the race, they're not going to have enough laps to get that one done. As we ride in towards the Vale chicane, Chris, this is looking to be still a very, very tasty race.
Absolutely. Blakely's done it again. He's pulled off a masterclass in tyre strategy and claimed the fastest lap, as well as he's just running off into the distance. So Carrington then, and Will Lewis has chosen to park his car. Generally, that speeding in the pit lane penalty comes up when someone is giving up on their race, although there's quite a few of them still out there. Let's see. Matthias Van Erven, Marcel Kiefer, and Simon Perny all carry that penalty at the moment. So those are the ones carrying the 5-second penalty, as Kiefer and Longue are having an argument and swap round, actually, as they get into Brooklands. So the medium-shod Red Bull then is starting to press his tyre advantage at this stage. And where Tom, I don't know where Tom Manley is on your screen, but at the moment, on my screen, he's half a second behind Longue. So the DRS train is second down to 13th at the moment. It looks like I thought Manley was sizing up Longue coming into Magazabekazem, but he decided to bow out of that one. Kiefer is looking very menacing for Matthias Van Erven at the moment, as they now get onto the hanger straight. Over to the left-hand side goes Matthias. Kiefer is going to take the inside line through Stowe. Tom Manley thought about an outside line through Stowe on Longue, didn't go for it. He's now cut back underneath the Frenchman as they go through Vale into Club Chicane. Oh no, Longue and Manley have come together, but Manley has managed to hold on just about. Longue's gone wide, and they've hit each other again. That's Longue round. Oh no, you never want to see it. And Longue now out of the running.
Oh, such a huge shame for Nicolas Longue. We weren't able to capture that due to the desync issues with Tom Manley that we are experiencing at the moment, but Longue is way out of the fight now. And Chris, where's Tom Manley at the moment? How's he doing? Tom
Manley is now 1.1 seconds behind Matthias Van Erven. He's just gone under the season 13 awning. He's now going into Brooklands. I'll give you a radio update on what Tom Manley's doing, as Parajic and Alfie Butcher have just swapped round. Alfie Butcher's having trouble because he's just had Parajic kind of reappear inside the Ferrari. So it could be Parajic is having a bit of sync issue as well. But Manley is he's now 1.5 seconds behind Matthias Van Erven, so he might have to kind of slow down a little bit, get some life back in his battery, as we have, 6 and a bit laps to go. Blakely leads Carrington, leads Opmeer.
Yeah, and Jake Benham feeling the pressure now from Marcel Kiefer, and this is going to be an easy move to the inside line. Jake can't even defend this one, as there it is, 4th place now. Given he does have a 5-second time penalty, it will be lower, but Marcel Kiefer, he is on a charge, and this is fantastic to see. Meanwhile, at the front of the order, Lucas Blakely's got 2.5 seconds almost to Alvaro Carreton, so he's not going to see any DRS. Jarno Opmeer will, but is that going to be enough to defend from Marcel as they head on towards lap number 20 of 26. We still have 7 laps to go left in this race, so plenty more capacity for some high drama, maybe some incidences and some great battles. Stick around. We have 1,437 people watching live at the moment. If you are enjoying, make sure you subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. It's the big red button beneath the screen, as there it is. Opmeer to the inside of Alvaro Carreton. I was focusing on the yellow flags there, and I didn't see the move being made, but we caught the end of it, and it was Opmeer in towards 2nd position now, and so it's going to be Marcel having to attack the Spaniard rather than the Dutchman.
Yeah, but Simon Perny had a problem on the exit of Village that caused the yellow flag, and at the same time Jarno Opmeer managed to get the DRS along the Wellington Straight inside line of Brooklands, and that's how the Dutchman got up into 2nd position. So Tom Manley's actually been overtaken by Tomek Paragic for 8th now, for 7th position, beg your pardon. So Paragic now leads that pack of medium tired cars. The lead medium runner, of course, being Lucas Blakely, who's lost a little bit of time on this lap, but I think he's probably just taking it easy at this stage. Doesn't have to push, just under 2 seconds to the advantage there, as Paragic has now got the fastest lap. He wants to get involved in the battle ahead of him between Van Erven and Benham, as I'm having a look at Marcel Kiefer, who's now sizing up the podium 3, but needs to do something to try and overcome that 5-second penalty, because I don't reckon if that goes to the stewards, I don't think it'll be overturned, because he was fully locked up going into the pit lane entry on my screen. So unless that was some kind of issue for him, I think that one's going to stay.
Yeah, such a shame really for Marcel. It was a silly error that has unfortunately landed him a 5-second time penalty, and if he was fully locked up, there's not really much you can do about it. Given that he just didn't meet the braking zone, he sped into the pit lane. That is just how it is as they fly through cops. I mean, what a camera shot that is. I feel for the cameraman there. That's a very dangerous position to be in, but we'll see if Marcel still can squeeze some life in these medium tyres, but I believe that they are slightly going off in comparison to the hards, because look at the gap between Jarno Opmeer and Lucas Blakely. It's now 1.2 seconds in favour of Lucas, but that was a lot bigger earlier on. He's lost about almost 1.5 seconds on this last lap alone. Surely Opmeer is pushing like crazy.
I think Lucas is just taking it easy. I don't think that he wants to make sure these medium tyres stay good for the end of the race. He's not needing to push. I think Lucas is, if I'm right, he's now going to push a little bit more to make sure Jarno doesn't get DRS off him, or he's just lining up for a good old-fashioned scrap. Doesn't want to just run off into the distance. He wants to race and earn the win. Not that he wouldn't have earned the win, but you know what I mean. Make a bit of a show of it. We will see. Again, update on Tom Manley. He's now 8/10 behind Paragic. He's not been able to gain too much on the 7th place Alfa Romeo driver in this den, but he's kind of wiggling around a bit on my screen, so I'm assuming that's where he is. He's not disappearing and reappearing, at least on my side, but his movement is a bit strange. Alfie Butcher, it looks like he's going to challenge the AlphaTauri now as they come through cops and heading towards Maggers and Beckett. It's always very worrying when you're coming up behind a lagging or desync player. You're never 100% sure where they are. They were nearly side by side going through Beckett's.
Marcel Kiefer trying to make a move on Alvaro Carreton. He's been dropped massively by Jarno Opmeer. Marcel sees the opportunity to the inside at Stowe, and he makes that move and into towards the podium places after starting a lot further down. He was in 6th at the beginning of the race, fell down to around about 8th or 9th, and now he's recovered beautifully into 3rd.
I thought Butcher was in trouble then. He's lagging a bit on my screen. Yeah, I thought he'd had a spin there. coming through club. But no, he's reappeared in the position where he actually should be. And there you go. You can see that Lucas is pressing on a bit. And Longue's retired. He's brought his car in. So, yeah. And again, you got a feel for him. Was right up there, leading the way for a while. Was on for a certain podium. And sadly tangled with Tom Manley. A great shame for Longue. That's one of my podium predictions out of the window.
Yeah, it's just something that sort of just happens in racing, really. I mean, it's almost unavoidable to have at least one collision between two very competitive drivers, and it's a real shame that Nicolas Longue came off worse there. And yeah, I think Alfie Butcher is lagging. He is definitely lagging because he just blipped backwards and forwards on my screen. So hopefully that's not an issue towards the end of the race. And speaking of towards the end of the race, we are well and truly in that phase. We're on lap number 23 of 26. This time by, it'll be 3 laps to go. And the gap between Lucas Blakely and Jarno Opmeer seemingly is stabilising now. Opmeer's not really been able to make back that much time on Lucas, and I think he might have to look in his wing mirrors because he's got a charging Marcel Kiefer in that Red Bull car in behind him, as Tomek Paradzic and Matthijs van Erven having a scrap, and the Polish driver coming out on top. I'd say that the hards are still the better tyres, as they're all it's silly. They're making contact through the Vale chicane. I mean, the terrible camera angles as well. We didn't even get to see what was happening there, as unfortunately Matthijs wasn't able to make that move, and luckily he was able to save it. But I mean, it was clumsy stuff for them to go side by side through there.
It was a bit. I was actually riding on board with Van Erven as that happened. So Paradzic got the move done into Stowe, but they were side by side down to Vale and then into the club chicane, and they came together as you saw. That actually brings Tom, who nearly flies off the road, coming through Aintree. I thought Alfie Butcher may have had an opportunity to go for the move there, but he's been out-dragged basically up towards Brooklands. So there's a bit of a train forming behind what is essentially Tomek Paradzic, who doesn't have DRS off the back of Jake Benham, although he is now closing in, so we might start to get that again, as we've got 3 laps remaining here at the Silverstone Grand Prix.
Yep, Jarno Opmeer's not been able to find that one extra tenth that he needs to get within inside DRS range of Lucas Blakely, who's made this strategy work to perfection. Seems like starting on the hards was just the way to go. Marcel Kiefer is pulling the same strategy option as Lucas, is now in 3rd place, of course, with a 5-second time penalty to his name, so he's going to lose a lot of these positions. I think he's going to finish around about like 10th or something, so it's a real shame for Marcel that it has come to this, but a silly error in the pit stops has led to this. We now have 2 laps left to go. Penalties are still coming out at this point. We've just seen both Cartalundi and Alessio De Capua take a 3-second time penalty for track limits. If the likes of Lucas or Jarno or Alvaro Carreton get that, that could be detrimental to their podium place finishes. Here we are though, Marcel Kiefer using the DRS, using the battery down the Wellington straight and peeling off to the left hand side to go up the inside of Jarno Opmeer, and he makes that move in towards Brooklands. Not much Jarno Opmeer could have done, not much he really needs to do, of course, unless he loses 5 seconds on the next 1.5 laps. He is still going to be in that 2nd place, but I think well and truly, Chris, I think he has given up on this win. I
think so. They realise when the battle's done, but again, Jarno knew he didn't need to fight that. He could see that Marcel had the penalty. There was no point trying to keep the medium-shot Red Bull behind him because he's on fresher, softer tyres. He'd have only lost time and risked his own podium by doing so. So, discretion's the better part of valor there. Is Marcel going to chase off after Blakely? Well, he's run out of battery energy to try and chase off after the McLaren, as Paradzic has managed to get past Jake Benham. Again, DRS run down towards Stowe. Fairly straightforward move. De Capua and Cartalundi have been having that argument for 12th position for a while. And they continue to have that argument because they both carry penalties as well. Bit of a lock up there for the Aston Martin. And on they continue. Final lap here at Silverstone. And there's still racing to be had, as lots of people are poised, ready to try and challenge the car ahead.
Absolutely, but Lucas Blakely, we are seeing at the moment, has had just a fantastic race, and I think he's got to be very pleased about how he has conducted himself today. We're seeing Alvaro Carreton chasing to the back of Jarno Opmeer, but given that they're just in the DRS train, it is so difficult to overtake at this point as they head in towards now the second sector for the final time in this race. If Jarno loses the DRS to Marcel, he could lose out on that second position that of course he will take ahead of Marcel once that 5-second penalty is applied. Can Alvaro Carreton try for this opportunity in towards Stowe Corner? I'd imagine we'll have to wait and find out as we're riding on board with the Williams driver headed in towards Magnussen, Beckett and Chapel now. If he doesn't get close halfway down underneath the gantry, I don't think he'll do it at all. And so we'll watch Lucas Blakely. He has taken pole position today. He's taken 3 wins out of 4 rounds so far this season. He's leading the championship and it will remain that way. It is 5 races down and 4 race victories for Lucas Blakely as he rounds Club Corner. The Scotsman wins at Silverstone.
He does. Jarno Opmeer elevated to second with Carreton third, Paragic 4, and Kiefer comes home in 5th position in the end with Benham 6th, Manley in 7th, eventually so with Butcher 8, Parnell 9 and Jack West rounding out the top 10 positions. I didn't even get a chance to look at the remaining cars as everybody has come across the line in short order. Well, again, Blakely dominating the way in the McLaren, but fair play to, I mean, yeah, that was a great run from Jake Benham, starting 9th, leading the way, and then still finishing well at the end.
Absolutely. And I mean, everyone was taking the mick out of him for a strategical call. Well, I mean, you know, they all laughed at him, but it's safe to say they're not laughing now as we're just waiting to see the podium celebrations. Lucas Blakely's been in such fine form this season. He's really made himself just well known as possibly the top driver into this coming season of F1 Esports. He's certainly the top driver here in WOR. He's going to be extending his championship lead and he'll be quite some way ahead as he's getting ready to spray the champagne. The McLaren team look delighted with the Scotsman's with his efforts. He'll be celebrating with Jarno Opmeer. Of course, he has his in-game model, and they give that to all the F1 Esports champions. And I wonder if we're going to see a Blakely model in the future, and I'd really like to see that, Chris.
Yeah, I was thinking that exact thing, actually, and I wouldn't be at all surprised. So before any stewards' interventions, Lucas Blakely taking the top spot, Jarno Opmeer second, Carreton third, Paragic 4th, Kiefer in 5th with the fastest lap as well to his name, Benham 6th, Manley 7th, Butcher 8, Parnell 9, and Jack West rounding out the top 10, Van Erven 11th, Castlundy 12th, Preisnader 13th, De Campo 14th, Pyrenees in 15th, Longay. Those that didn't see the flag were Longay, Will Lewis, Starlek, and Luke Smith.
So that brings us to the end of what was a very, very eventful British Grand Prix, and hopefully we can get the drivers in and have some interviews. But we do have to talk about Lucas Blakely. I mean, he's been in such incredible form as of recent, and even though if you're looking at the finishing order, it was finishing P1, he started P1. Oh, it must have been a boring race. That does not tell the half of it. I mean, it was a well-worked victory from him today.
Oh, yeah. You can't say that didn't need work and a fairly decent recovery from that early spin. That could have gone horribly wrong for Lucas, but he just kept his head down, kept pushing, and in the end, when he remade that gap at the beginning part of the race on the medium starters, the advantage went his way. But if he'd had a problem in the pit stop, if he hadn't have had such a good in-lap, then he could have had to have battled his way through. Could he have done it? Sure. He would have been on the medium tyres with everyone else on hard, but he would have had to work that much harder for it. And even still, I think he teased people towards the end. He could have just stretched that lead on and on and on, but he decided just to back off and tease those that were chasing him.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really, really fun to watch. And I think he'll be very pleased about how he conducted himself today. And we also have to talk about Jarno Opmeer. He's finally finding some decent form. Of course, I believe he came 5th last week in Australia. Now taking a podium today. And I'm actually going to quickly run over and check the WOR spreadsheet and see if he's had a podium so far this season.
He has. Yes, he took one in round 3 at Miami. So, and he was 4th last time out in Australia. So yeah, I think you're right. I think he's now rediscovering that real top, regular podium winning form, and with more time in practice. Easy for us to say. It's easy for us plebs to surmise on how Jarno's doing. For all we know, he's keeping the best till when it really counts, for when F1 Esports begins again. But it's good to see Jarno getting back towards those top spots that he's rightly working towards. But you can't take it away from Blakely. That was a storming performance. In fairness, it was a storming performance from a lot of people tonight. It's great to see, the really good performances top to bottom.
Yeah, it is fantastic, really, and I use that word a lot. And I'm just going to start owning it now. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed it in the live chat. I believe we peaked at about 1,500 viewers. It was really incredible to see all the support, especially when I asked where everyone was from, and it was just worldwide. I mean, you said it yourself, Chris. It's fitting with the name World Online Racing that there are viewers from all over the world. We're going to try and get some drivers in for an interview. And Chris, is there anyone? Can you check in the Discord if they're in the box?
We have Jarno and Lucas ready to chat to.
Fantastic. Drag them in then, please, sir.
Okie dokie.
No one wanted to pit first.
Jarno's gone. Up here.
Hey, and we interrupted the conversation. Bonus points to the commentators.
Sorry about that one, lads. We've got Jarno Ottmere and Lucas Blakely, and the men who finished first and second in the pit stops in the race today. And I think we'll start with the Dutchman. Jarno, let's talk about your qualifying. You started in fourth, and how do you do you think you could have been possibly on the front row with a little bit of an improvement there?
Yeah, of course. I was 1,000 by Nicolas. But in the end of the day, I was pretty happy with it, because for the first time, I think, in any league race, I finally had pace to win. So, yeah, I mean, it could have been better, but I don't think I could have gotten pole today at least. So I still need to find some time, even though Silverstone is not really, has been my track in the past. At least I think it was most I could get out of it today at least. So hope I can get a bit more pace before F1 Esports in the next few league races, because that's definitely necessary with Lucas setting those lap times. So yeah, we have to wait and see. I think so.
Absolutely, and of course, headed into the race, you were well within in the fight for the win. And at one point, we saw the gap between you and Lucas drop from about 2.5 seconds almost to about 1.1. And in the space of that lap, I want to know what was going through your head there. And do you think there was a possible win on the table?
Yeah, I think definitely the win was on the table. Made a few mistakes in the hunt of closing down on Lucas, so that was on me. But yeah, Lucas was really fast as well, because even when his mediums were dying off in the last 2 laps, he still kept the pace. And I think he was just overall slightly better today. So.
Absolutely. I mean, Lucas, his pace is really just undeniable, and we'll get onto him in just a moment's time. But next time we head to Belgium, how do you feel about that circuit?
Well, my last adventure in PSGL was a bit of an embarrassment, but yeah, as I said, I think we've made some good improvements, but we will see next week in Belgium if that's actually the case. And yeah, hope I can be a little bit further to the front again, close the gap a little bit again, and see where we stand next Sunday.
It's really great to see. I love that you've got that drive to improve once again for the Belgian Grand Prix. But we'll let you get away and enjoy enjoy your podium and enjoy the rest of your stream, because I'd imagine that you are live at the moment. But well done for a very well worked P2 today, and we will hopefully see you in the commentary box next time.
Thank you.
So that was Jarno Ottmere, everyone, the man who finished P2. He was better than everyone else today, aside from one. We have Lucas Blakely joining us in the commentary box. And Chris, why don't you talk to our race winner today?
Lucas, what can we say? I've said repeatedly, the only person that can stop you is you. We did see that gap, as Dan was saying, suddenly drop. Were you just toying with those behind you, think I'm going to make a race of this, or was there a problem that we didn't spot?
I would never ever make a race harder for myself in such a situation. But no, I mean, yeah, it always looked simpler than it was. I mean, that race was quite up and down of different phases. I thought, things were going well, then they weren't going well. I mean, hards were really, really good. My pace on the hard was, I felt, exceptional, but for the around where the cars were, so I was like really happy with those sort of things. But then, yeah, the second stint started really well. Got out of DRS and tried to pull away, but then very quickly things started to go downhill. I was starting to, yeah, mediums were going off a bit. I know why, but nothing I'm going to say here, obviously. But yeah, had started to run into some issues, and I was slipping and sliding all over the place, and then yeah, ended up gap getting very, 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 very close with Jarno, and I was convinced that with the hard tyres being quite a good tyre after the first couple of laps on their stint, that Jarno was going to come back at me because the mediums are only going to get worse versus hard, and I'm very, very surprised that I managed to just hold on with the DRS. So when I was watching that DRS gap like a hawk, I was watching it every single corner exit using the ERS strategically, asking my engineer how much battery Jarno had, and he had a lot of battery and then used a lot of it, but then ended up really low, I think. So I just had to sort of match him when his battery depleted, and then yeah, I was just really trying to keep them away, but I was managing really well towards the end. Kept it all under control, was in a really good zone, and yeah, I mean, it always looks, I guess, maybe a bit easier than it was, but it was really happy to also get the pole position. Because I made a mincemeat of my sector 1, so had to claw it back in sector 3 and really put together a better rounded lap at the end at least. So overall, it was a solid day, but there's still plenty of things that I feel like we need to still need to improve. There's still weaknesses that need to be eradicated to make things a bit more perfect. But yeah, plenty more to come. But yeah, solid result.
And Spa next time around, is Spa usually kind to you, or are you looking forward to the checkered flag of getting that one out of the way?
Well, Spa is usually a bit of a tricky one in the F1 games. I mean, we saw a few weeks back when we were doing a league race round there before as well. It was quite, it's quite tough to, get everything right round there. But I'll look forward to revisiting it, seeing what it's like, seeing what things we can, improve from last time. And I mean, people still people get quite surprised. Like after a quali lap, I've went, if I would go like in the session, I went P1 with one of my laps in Q2 or something, and I was really angry because I felt like I didn't drive very cleanly. I was making like little small errors that kept adding up, and I was like, why are you angry when you're in P1? But that's because that you don't get you don't get out of jail free cards in esports. You need to be precision. You need to be perfect. You need to be there cannot be weakness. There needs to be only strength, and you need to excel in every area and have a perfectionist mindset. I mean, I don't have extremely high standards for myself, and people I think maybe get surprised when I still get annoyed when I'm going P1 on a leaderboard. But that's because I don't base my opinions of something on how good or bad I am at them. I base them on what I honestly feel about it. If I go P1 by half a second, but I feel like I've left half a second on the table, then that's not a good job by me. That's the standard that I have to have. If I didn't have this standard, I wouldn't be pushing myself to, be be here in the first place. I wouldn't have, pushed myself to get to that level. So, I just need to keep improving because there's still too many things that I'm not happy with. And it sounds weird, I'm sitting here, we won the race, but there's still details. There's still things that I need to improve going forward. But, these are all good lessons, all good things that we can improve on going into the coming weeks.
Awesome stuff. One other question I've got is coming ahead of the next round of F1 esports. With the victories you've experienced, and as you said, your own expectations continuing to push you forward to improve, does that give you more confidence going into the next round of F1 esports that you could be challenging for those top spots, or is that not on your mind yet?
Absolutely not on my mind, because literally none of these wins make esports any more confident. Like, I don't take confidence from just a result sheet. I need to have the method behind the process. Like all these wins now, with all complete respect, it means absolutely nothing to me if they don't go well in esports. Like, it's all very well and good now, but this, if I got 0 wins in esports, this would be useless. I would not, it's very much about the process behind it all. You know, it's all good having results now, but literally none of this means pretty much. I mean, I don't take any of this as a guarantee going to esports. It's what the things that do make a guarantee going to esports is having a good work ethic, leaving no stones unturned, performing under pressure, making sure you've got the best out of the car. These are the things that give you the confidence going into esports. But you know, the results now don't guarantee that I'm going to win in esports at all. Like, I go very much into esports of a blank slate. Like, I still want to. What I'm looking at it as, I just really want to win a race. I really want to like push every single individual race one by one, take it step by step, and maximize every opportunity, because it will literally won't. You know, doing good now, people don't realize that it doesn't actually carry through to esports. There's a lot of work that needs to be done from even this point until esports for it to go well. And I'm not saying that the results now mean completely nothing. Absolutely not. Like, it's still really nice to get these sort of outcomes, and it's obviously what I go racing for every week to achieve. I don't turn up to not win. So there's two elements of it. So obviously it's nice to win in the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, if I don't win races in F1 esports, or if I'm not fighting for the championship in F1 esports, then that's the bigger picture. There's always a bigger picture, and that's what I'm working towards at the end of the day, is ultimately being good in F1 esports. So yeah, a lot of work to be done. I'm not complacent. I can't be complacent. But yeah, I'll stop talking. I feel like I've talked for about 50 minutes. You guys are probably fed up of listening to me.
Not at all, not at all. But we'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your stream. And we all every race you do, your fan base is growing ever more, and we very much look forward to your progress. So great win tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week, and best of luck for your F1 esports future. Thank you very much, Lucas Blakely.
Appreciate it, guys, and catch you guys next week at whatever mystery track it is, because I still don't know the calendar. Ciao.
Well, that brings us to the end of the interview portion of this stream, and pretty much brings us to of what has been a fantastic British Grand Prix. And Chris, I mean, it was a really fun one today, and hopefully Belgium next week is going to be as exciting as it was as Britain was today.
Yeah, again, Spa is one of these classic tracks. It's in the racing DNA. No matter what your favoured racing discipline is, it's probably been to Spa. From anything from mountain bikes to Formula One, anything that can race has probably been there. So it's one of these things it's a track that's in every game that involves racing cars of some description. So it's a firm favourite, and very much look forward to seeing how the Ardennes Forest entertains us all next time out.
Absolutely, but that, of course, has to wait until next Sunday from us here at the WOR YouTube channel. I believe that we are done for the evening. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the big red button beneath my face at the moment. You cannot miss it. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at WOR League, and join our Discord as well. You'll find the link to that in the description. You can find myself on Twitter at DanFieldF1_, and you can find Chris at KingKodiak_UK. And that about wraps it up for this evening. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We peaked at about 1,500 viewers this evening, which is a fantastic number to reach. Hopefully in the coming weeks we can sort all new heights, but for now, from us, it is thank you and good night.